Jennie Baranczyk and the Oklahoma Sooners women's basketball team are hosting Dawn Staley and South Carolina Gamecocks. This is going to be a great game. Jennie Baranczyk is a great coach. I mean, she did good things at Drake. She's done good things at Oklahoma. But let's put it honestly. She's facing an institution. Not just the Gamecocks. I mean, the Gamecocks have only lost one game so far this year. And that was, to Texas during a tournament game. This was, the women of the Gamecocks were tired, but they had done great things. Dawn Staley is the institution. She is, in all honesty, as I have said in other videos, the new Pat Head Summit. When I think of excellence in women's basketball coaching, I think Pat Head Summit. Could be because I'm a Tennessee redneck, but I grew up watching the different types of coaches. Now, I hear all kinds of people talk about Gene Oriamo, and when you listen to the WNBA, there's a U context, but I'll be perfectly honest with you. Gene Oriamo, I'm not going to say what I should not say what I think about that man. Let's just put it this way. Okay, he can coach, but I don't always think that he coached in a manner that was good for the sport. And I don't think that he ran his program in a way that was good for anybody but Gene Oriamo. Not even for UConn. When you have Pathead Summit going, who strove to play the best of the best, saying, "No, I'm tired of dealing with you." That's when you know that that's not somebody you want to hold to a high caliber in your thought process. But Dawn Staley, oh, I would love to have seen Dawn Staley and Pathead Summit go at it on a basketball court for years. Those two would have made women's basketball into something amazing. We unfortunately didn't get to see that. But I think Dawn Staley is one of the best coaches of all time, both in women's basketball and basketball in general. So that's what the Sooners have to face. Also, before I get too far into this, for some reason my women's basketball videos have been blowing up from my channel. I want to thank you. I really do. It does a heart good to think that there are folks that like women's basketball. Now I do women's gymnastics during the season, and I'm doing women's basketball now because it's after college football. And everybody's like, "Well, all this college football." Well, I'm a Tennessee redneck. Johnny Majors and Philip Fulmer's who I grew up with, and David Cutcliffe. And I grew up with Pat Head Summit. I never got in. I got into some NBA stuff when I was younger, but men's basketball never interested me because men's basketball at Tennessee was flat out garbage. And I know they're good now, but that's flat out garbage, and it's how I grew up. I'm 50 years old. I'm set in my ways now. Women's basketball was what got me into. Well, Pat Head Summit and Lady Balls got me into women's basketball. In South Carolina, man, I watch them. I root for the Lady Balls, but I love some love me some Dawn Staley and South Carolina Gamecocks. And the Oklahoma Sooners, don't get me wrong. Oklahoma Sooners are a good team. But we're going to get into the stats here because I do by the numbers. If all you folks that have been watching me, you know I cover it by the numbers. I'm not getting into personal thought processes too often. I look at the numbers. And I could be wrong on some of this, but you know what? I'm doing it by the numbers. It's how I do things. So let's get into this. Before we get into the crux of this video, hit like, hit subscribe if you like college sports, because I do college sports, primarily college football, college women's gymnastics, do a little basketball and other sports on occasion, but that's what I do, college. Also, hey, General Robert Nean, former University of Tennessee head football coach for decades, had 7 maxims to win any game, but they can also help you if you apply them correctly to your life. The second one is play for and make the breaks. When one comes your way, score. That is a maxim that can be also applied to your life. Look for those breaks and take it. Now, South Carolina's averaging 89.7 points a game, but that's a little bit worse, not by much, but a little bit worse than Oklahoma. Now, they're only getting 54.2 points scored against them, and that's better than the Sooners. Field goal percentage are at 52%. That's some good numbers. That's saying that you got a coach that's paying attention to the fundamentals. 45.9 rebounds a game, a little bit worse than Oklahoma. Assist 18.6, looks a little bit worse than Oklahoma as well. 6.8 blocks, a little bit better. And steals 9.3, it's actually a little bit worse. When you're looking at these players, Joyce Edwards leading in points, steals. She's a forward, 20.7 points a game. One of the better NCAA women's basketball players, 6.3 rebounds, which is really good, and that's what you want your forwards to be doing. 2.5 assists, 1.9 steals, 1.4 blocks, 2.6 turnovers. That's a little high. Actually, it is high. 60.6 field goal percentage, which is good. Actually, it's pretty darn good. Free throw percentage, 63.3, not that good. And 33.3 beyond the arc. That could be better. But, it's decent numbers on the percentages. And she's scoring 20.7 points a game. So, she's doing what she needs to do. Tania Latson is scoring 16.3 points a game. 3.5, she's a guard, 3.5 rebounds, 3.9 assists, 1.5 steals, 0.5 blocks, 1.6 turnovers, which isn't bad, 50.9 field goal percentage, 83.3% on free throw percentage, and 41% beyond the arc for 3-pointers. Medina Okot, who leads in rebounds and in blocks, is the center, 15.1 points a game, 11.3 rebounds, so she's getting double-doubles all the time, 1.2 assists, 1.4 steals, 1.7 blocks, 2.2 turnovers, little high there, 60.9% field goal percentage. I like this. If you take a look at this, Joyce Edwards, Medina Okot. Yeah, I said something about some of the percentages with Joyce Edwards. If you're getting 60% field goal percentage, that means 3 of your 5 shots are going in. That's intelligent shooting. Yeah, I didn't like some of the percentages with Joyce Edwards, but they're still making the right choices on shot selection. 64.9% from free throw range and 33.3 from 3-point range. Okay, so they don't need to be shooting from beyond the arc, and they need to get a little bit better with the free throw percentage. But you take a look at Shaq. He couldn't make a free throw worth a flip. Raven Johnson is leading in assists. She's at 5.2 assists. Now, Tessa Johnson, a guard, is getting 13.1 points a game, 3.9 rebounds, 2.8 assists, 0.5 steals, 0.4 blocks, 1.3 turnovers, which is good, 47.7 field goal percentage, 76.3 free throw percentage, and 43.8% from the 3-point line. Now, you look at this, Raven Johnson and Joyce Edwards are taking up a lot of minutes. They're at 540 and 511 minutes that they've played this year. 492 for Tessa Johnson. So they've got a few players that they're having to rely on a little bit more. But if you look, they're also giving everybody play time. They're balancing it, even though a few of the players are a little high on their numbers. Because their lowest minutes on the floor person is Adele Pat, and she's at 202 minutes. So they're balancing it out. They're getting in there, they're getting out of there. When somebody gets tired, Don Staley knows how to get them out. I'm looking at this team. They're scoring really good. Joyce Edwards is doing amazing things. They've got a fundamentals going on that is amazing because they're making the right shot selection when they need to. Now, South Carolina, I gave you numbers. Now, the Sooners are averaging 90.8 points a game. A little bit better, like I said, than South Carolina. But they're allowing 60.6 points scored against them. They're at 46% field goal percentage. Still decent numbers. They're rebounding 51.9 times a game. They're doing teamwork with 20.9 assists. They got 6.1 blocks, 11.8 steals. Now that 11.8 steals is pretty impressive. Now, Aaliyah Chavez is the leading scorer, leading in assists. She's a guard, which is good. She's at 19.2 points a game, 4.1 rebounds, 4.2 assists, 1.9 steals, zero point 0.4 blocks, 3.1 turnovers. That's really high. That is really high. 39.9% from field goal range. Think about that for a minute. That's low numbers. That means she's not always shooting like she needs to. 87.5 free throw percentage, though, so that's good. 33.3 3-point percentage. So, what you do is you keep in her face and she'll make mistakes and keep her off the line, the free throw line. Reagan Beers, 17.1 points. She's a center. She's leading in rebounds and leading in blocks. She's at 11.2 rebounds a game. So she's giving you double doubles. 2.2 assists, zero point 0.7 steals, 1.2 blocks, 1.7 turnovers. That's not bad. Little high, but not massively so. 57.8 field goal percentage. She's paying attention to where she needs to shoot. 68.7 free throw percentage and only 13% 3-point percentage. Keep her beyond the arc. Sahara Williams is at 12 forwards, 12.7 points a game, 8.1 rebounds, 4.1 assists, 1 steal, zero point 0.7 blocks, 2.6 turnovers. That's high. 47.2 field goal percentage. Not bad. Could be a little bit better. She's still pretty selective in her shot selection. 74.1% from free throws, and 21.1% beyond the arc. Hey, keep her beyond the arc too. Now, Zaya Band, who by the way is a guard and is leading in steals, is doing 10.9 points a game, 4.6 rebounds, 2.2 assists, 2.7 steals, um, zero point 0.7 blocks, 2.1 turnovers. That's high. 45.3 field goal percentage, 80.6 free throw percentage, or 80.6, 36.4 3-point percentage. So basically, I'm looking at this team, and also a little high on some of the numbers, but they're doing teamwork, but they're not keeping everybody involved like South Carolina does. You keep them beyond the 3-point line, force them to have to take 3-point shots. Let me tell you something. They ain't going to be able to do a very good job of it because as a team, they're at 30.2. 72.3 free throw percentage, not bad, and 45.9 on the field goal percentage. I'm looking at this. They've got a few good players when it comes to beyond the arc, but they've got several that when you're relying on Aaliyah Chavez as much as they are, how many shots is she taking if you think about it? Because she is averaging 31.2 minutes a game for 19.2 points, but she's at 39.9 field goal percentage. So she's only hitting 2 out of every 5 shots she takes. And with 33.8 on the 3-point percentage, keeping her beyond the arc drops that even more. And Reagan Beers, who once she gets inside is doing amazing. 57.8%. That's really amazing. But beyond the 3-point line, I'm looking at this and I'm going, hey, it's a solid team. They've got some weaknesses though. And, you know, they lost to Ole Miss, Kentucky, and UCLA, so they're not able to deal with the higher talent. Okay, I'm looking at these two teams. While both of them have decent percentages when it comes to field goal percentages, both of them are decent. They're higher than quite a few other teams. South Carolina fundamentals here. Dawn Staley preaches it. Her players are taking much better care of where they shoot the ball from. On top of the fact of that Joyce Edwards, even though I don't fully like her numbers beyond the arc, she knows when she can take a shot or not. She also knows who she can pass it off to. Little high on turnover rate, but Joyce Edwards as the top scorer, as the main focus of this uh, offense, perfect choice. Plus, she makes amazing choices when it comes to shot placement. You want a player like that. She's smart. On the other hand, Aaliyah Chavez, a guard, who they're relying on for most of their points. 31.2 minutes a game, like I said, whereas Joyce Edwards is at 30 minutes a game. Aaliyah Chavez, not that much more time on the court, is scoring just a hair under, but is having to do more shots because she's sitting there below, just below 40% on where she when she hits the ball. Looking at these two players, amazing ideas here. Reagan Beers, who let me tell you something. I like Reagan Beers. You get her behind beyond the 3 point, she ain't gonna be doing a lot, but she can rebound, she can block. Not that much though. She's only doing 1.2 blocks. This team's not. Neither team is really doing a lot of blocks. That's a little disheartening. It's a fundamentals, but I'm sure that Don Staley knows this and is annoyed at it. Oklahoma's a little bit better at steals. I'll give them that. They're at 11.8% or 11.8 steals a game to South Carolina's 9.3. I'm looking at this game, fundamentals and everything like that. Yeah, there's still some fundamentals missing from South Carolina, but they're far better at putting the right shot up at the right time. Oklahoma, on the other hand, having problems with that, even though they've got some good players. Most of their players know how to get up the right shot. But Peyton Burhoist and Aaliyah Chavez is who you're counting on. That isn't the case. This will be the Gamecocks. Dawn Staley should have no problems, even though they're going to be in Norman. These two teams, Oklahoma's already proven that they can't take on the big boys. I like the Sooners. Don't get me wrong. I think they're going to do good. I think they deserve to be in the NCAAs. But Dawn Staley, the institution, I'm looking at this and I'm going, yep, this is going to be a Dawn Staley game right here. Now, I could be wrong. Oklahoma Jennie Baranczyk is a good coach. She could have something cooked up, but I don't think she has the players to contend with South Carolina. Not at this time. Now, mind you, Reagan Beers, let me tell you something. I can't imagine that Reagan Beers would not have made a good Gamecock. She's a good player. Zaya Ban, good player. I'm not saying that there aren't really good players on here, and I'm not saying that some of these wouldn't have made good Gamecock players, but South Carolina is on a tear right now. And honestly, hey, it's nothing against the Sooners. The Sooners are just competing in the wrong conference for them to get very deep. But you tell me what you think. I'm not cutting down Oklahoma. I think that they're probably a couple of years away with Jennie Baranczyk as the coach of making a bigger statement. But right now, she's having to go up against some real beast of teams. This has been Paul with Redneck Sports. Y'all have a good day now. Bye. Hey, that's my video. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. And comment. Don't forget that either. Hey, this has been Paul with
Artlist.io.
Redneck Thinker Media. I do sports, I do politics. Hit like, subscribe. And y'all, this has been Paul. Y'all have a good day now. Bye.